Hey, Burkie.
Hey, Burkie.
Hey, Burkie.
Gentlemen, what are we having tonight?
Give me a virgin purple Viking with a bruised cucumber, please.
Yeah, I'll do a double Bacardi and Diet Coke.
Oh, sounds good.
You know what, Burkie? I was wondering, you probably weren't the most popular guy in the NHL when you had the sheriff's badge and ran the department that we now know of as the Department of Player Safety.
Yeah, no free drinks back then, but player safety, you're always an idiot. Someone thinks you're an idiot every day. So you give a guy 3 games, his team thinks you screwed them, the other team thinks it should have been 7, and so you're an idiot all the time.
What was your first day on the job like in that role?
You mean when they showed me the array of technology I had at my disposal?
You say that with a sideways smirk.
I asked Gary, I said, what capability do we have to record games? And he said, we have 4 VCRs. And this is a hardwired building. So Glenn Adamo, who was our VP of broadcasting, would come down and pre-program the games that we wanted to tape. So if there were 12 games that night, we would pick the ones that would most likely have a problem. If puck drop was 7:10, we'd start them at 7:20 because they had a runtime of 2 hours and 15 minutes. So if you broke a pane of glass or the Zamboni broke down, there's no way you'd get the whole game on, or if it went to overtime. You never have a suspension in the first 10 minutes, right? So we'd start them at 7:20. So I'm driving home. I went to a playoff game in Philly. I'm driving home, and Pierre Lacroix calls, and it's worse than the Kennedy assassination. And I'm like, Father Pete, because I call him Father Pete. Father Pete, calm down. He said, Bill Guerin just tried to behead Peter Forsberg. I'm like, behead? He said he chopped him right in the face, tried to cut his head off. And I said, all right, look, I taped that game. I'm driving back. So Dave Nonis was on the island that night, I think, at a playoff game. I called him. I said, did you see what happened in Edmonton? He's like, no, I'm on the island. I'm driving back. I said, all right, I'll meet you at the office. So we meet back at the office. Now it's 1:30 in the morning. So they got the goalie pulled. Peter Forsberg's a left shot. He's trying to jam in a puck on the goaltender. Goalie's out. His goalie's out. Billy Guerin's standing to his right. He's a right shot. Chops him on the arm. The stick comes over, clips Peter Forsberg in the face. He gets 6 stitches in his face. So we had to deal with the Players Association. Anything under 10 stitches, unless there's a serious injury, is a shaving cut. No suspension. I called Pierre. I said, Pierre, there's nothing there. It's a shaving cut. And he was really sour. But that's the nature of the job. Like, every fan in Colorado thinks I screwed that up. And every fan at Edmonton thinks I got it right.
You can't win. What about Draper Lemieux, Game 6?
I was at that game. Billy McCreary refereed that game. Billy McCreary is the best referee that ever worked in the NHL for me. And I was right above that hit. It didn't look that bad when it happened. And we're debating, is it a 2 or a 5? So we call it deuce or a nickel. And then we see the replay and we're like, oh, good Lord.
And it's going to be Lemieux again, I think. The Red Wing player near the bench was dropped.
Hit him right from behind and jammed him right into the board.
It's a full-fledged cheap shot, hit from behind, blindside hit. I think I gave him 4 games, which included games in the finals. Now, mind you, no player has ever been suspended for games in the finals since Rocket Richard in 1955, which induced the St. Patrick's Day riots. And I pulled Lemieux in the finals, and big brawl the next year. The team settled the score the next year.
301 days since the hit on Chris Draper. Welcome back to old-time hockey.
The Red Wings and the Avalanche met in the 3rd round of the playoffs in 2002, and the Red Wings beat Colorado 7-0 in Game 7 to advance to the finals. And when the game was over, Pierre walked into our locker room, walked down to the far end, and congratulated me on our series win. For Pierre, what he did spoke volumes to me about him as a person, to his character. And he was a fierce competitor, but in a loss, he showed an incredible amount of class.
Pierre, with the French-Canadian people, was always there for us. He was well-known in the artistic community in Quebec, well-known in the sports community in Quebec. He was always ready to help, and he was always ready to win.
As you get to know him, yes, you know Pierre as he's the architect, he's the boss. He became more than a boss. He became a trusted friend, and that's how we wanted everybody to be treated. And if he did something, and if it wasn't working, he fixed it. He just wanted a family environment.
If there's one thing, that I remember from him passing along and that I pass along to my kids, it's a French expression. It's called gros bon sens, which means big common sense. And I think Pierre did his businesses that way. I think he was a manager that way, and he was certainly a father that way, and a husband and a grandpa. And I think that that's a big thing that we're going to try to pass along to generations and generations to go with the Lacroix last name.